I'm early, but I thought I would just start just on the off chance I had some technical problems. So I am happy to say, hopefully you can hear me. I'm happy to say that I'm running off of my MacBook Pro, and that's a good thing because my other laptop is probably not long for this world. So, and maybe you can't hear me. All right, let's see. Sound is good. Okay, thank you, Ruth. Okay, loud and clear. Thanks, Emma. Yeah, so I have been getting these refurb Lenovo laptops, and they're like a great deal. And now I've started having problems with them. And so this will probably be the last one that I get. So big hello to Bill B, Colette, Emma, Ruth, Fred, Bonjour Paul, Mao. I think I got, and Suzanne. We'll see if we get any. We're not quite at the scheduled time yet, so we might get a Lynn, or maybe we'll get two Lynns. That could always happen as well. Yeah, and so this isn't probably a surprise to folks, but I have a tendency to procrastinate and put things off. And last night, at least North American time, would have been 6:30 Pacific, so like 9:30 Eastern. We did the first practice check-in. There were only 6 people who indicated that it would work for them, and 3 folks were able to come, and Ruth was able to drop in really briefly, which was great. I do think that of the 3 people who attended, one of them hadn't worked for them in the doodle poll, also known as the poodle doll. And so it was a good first test for an experiment. There are a few things that didn't go as planned, which is the way that technology works. But yeah, good point, Paul. Yeah, so the time zone, I think, was definitely, or the timing was a little bit goofy, and so hopefully when you look at the doodle poll, it should show you the time zone, and so there's the possibility that I actually was looking at it in the wrong time zone. So that may have been part of the problem. And I'll have to look at that because I think you might be right. So for folks that won't see the chat in replay, Paul pointed out that the 6:30 that was there might have been 6:30 Eastern Daylight Time. So I'll have to look at that. So we got one Lynn. That's great. Welcome. And hello, Annalisa. But yeah, so the schedules for that didn't quite work out that great. So there'll be another poll will go out. It'll be in next week's reminder email, and the target time would be somewhere towards the end of July. So that'll yeah. So the link for it was on Zoom, Annalisa, and instead of doing it here. So yeah, Catherine, I know it's is a little bit later on the Eastern time. So, but yeah, so we'll do that again. Try to figure out those sort of logistics on that and things. So try to think of. I know I was ringing the bell and the bell was getting like muted, and we had some internet hiccups and things like that. So not everything, what you might expect for the first time you do a group. But yeah, so all right. Well, it's middle of the week, or at least it's middle of the week if you're in North America, and if you're in Australia, then it's already Thursday. So happy Thursday for everybody. Oh, okay. So where to find the? So the question in chat is where to find the Zoom link. So the Zoom link was in this week's reminder email at the very bottom. And so the next one isn't set yet. So we'll look at different times for that. But yeah, so it was in the reminder email. And this link is also in the reminder email as well. So, and I think Annalisa gets the emails. So if you don't, then let me know, because I thought I added you. I think so. I just checked, so I can't resist checking. But yeah, so that sometimes they'll get forwarded into spam folder and things like that. So one trick would be to add me to your contacts, and then that will take care of some of those things. So yeah, I think I've got Annalisa on that list, Fred, but thank you. All right. So I don't have the deck of cards. I think we're going to keep things simple. I have been I've been playing around with these instructions, which are very, very simple, and they're instructions for a meditation technique that was in an animated Star Wars series, and so I think that's what we might play with tonight. And that was part of thanks to Ruth for noticing my typo. I had a typo on the thumbnail. That's part of the reason I was doing the different font for that, and yeah, and I've switched computers, which means I don't have some of my standard graphics that I use every week aren't on this computer yet, which they need to be. So that was part of it. I just created a new thing for that. Yeah, Groovy is definitely appreciated. Yeah, I guess I didn't have to admit it, Ruth, but yeah, I appreciate you looking out for those little things. Sometimes I'll see misspellings and stuff on people's LinkedIn profiles, and I always wonder, like, do they know that? Should I let them know? So, oh, okay, we're getting a little pixelated. All right. Well, that's a bummer. Well, hopefully the audio will hold out. And I've been having a decent run of internet here, so audio is good. All right, thank you, Brooke. Well then, I'll stop with the jibber jabbers, and I've got my bell, and I've got 25 minutes on the clock. We'll play around with this, and we've got 25 minutes sit. Light guidance, so a little bit hopefully a little more spacious, and then in between, when I do give some guidance, I'll offer, if the wider time between prompts, if the wider time between prompts is like feels a little bit like it's not supportive, well, just I would offer looking at noting and increasing the frequency of your labeling. So, that's a funny story, Ruth. So I knew a guy, and Emma might appreciate this. I knew a guy that used to advertise in the university paper, and the code that was in the university paper was there was an error in the code, and they asked people to email them what the error was, and that was whether or not you would be asked to submit your resume, as if you found that. So that's super cool. That's a super cool story, Emma. All right, so we have entered into the realm of pixelated video. So the best thing to do would be close our eyes and meditate together. So we'll ring the bell, and I'll ring it. So ring it to start and ring it to end, and we'll have 25 minutes in between. So hopefully, unlike Zoom, you get to hear that bell as it trails off. All right. And I usually say a lot of things at the top, but they can all be sort of summarized in adjust your position. So just as a really bare, terse instruction. And what we're looking for when we adjust our position is to find a way to be upright without being uptight. I've recently started borrowing a cue around we're really sitting with our bones when we sit. We're not sitting with the muscles, so we're not propping ourselves up. We want to sit in a way that allows us to breathe freely. So we're not holding in the belly, we're letting the belly expand. And then a reminder I usually say at the top is you could be standing or lying down or walking. It's totally fine. I'm going to focus on the seated posture, either on a chair or on a cushion. And then really in kind of bringing us into this sort of arriving situation, or arriving to our situation. A few deliberate breaths. Breathing in through the nose, and slowly extending the exhale as we breathe out. And with each out breath, we're really settling into the posture a little bit more. And a little bit more. So you're welcome to keep your eyes open if you want, but the instructions really are as simple as this. Close your eyes and focus. So one thing would be to interpret focus and focus on whatever is coming up in your experience. So we could interpret that as a way of approaching this as a see, hear, feel set. So if you have mental imagery, focusing on that, soaking your attention in, optionally labeling it see. Or you have a body sensation, same pattern. Just we would use feel for the label. And then if you've got sounds like the clock or ceiling fan from my environment encroaching upon your ears, focusing on that and soaking the attention in. Noticing where the attention is, where you're focusing. And then using that label to remain in contact just a little bit longer. So you can focus with this notion of floating to whatever is prominent. Or you can pick a category. So the category could be body sensations, could be sounds. And we can also narrow from the larger body sensations to the breath. So lots of options, maybe too many options. If you feel paralyzed by the choice, then just picking one and being with that. So explore that and then I'll check in. Just a reminder that the labeling is optional. So if you feel like as you label, that kind of disturbs, generates more mental talk, you can experiment with dropping the optional labels and just really noting and relying on sort of knowing where you're noting. And if you're kind of the other way where you don't feel like you're supported enough, you can increase the frequency of the labeling. And if you're working with the breath, there's sort of no, I was going to say no shame, but I phrase it. There's nothing wrong with using, if you feel like you're sort of counting all the way up to like 50 before you realize that you've kind of left being in contact with the breath, then you can decide to kind of shift how you count a bit. So you can count to like 7 or 9 and then count down once you get to that. So, and again, the counting is sort of just giving the mind something to do. It's sort of like handing a shiny set of keys to a baby. Occupy the mind a bit. And if none of those things are needed, then excellent. I'll let you keep working with whichever home base you've picked. Right about now is when I usually check my posture. So you're feeling like you're not quite as sort of in contact with your home base, or things don't feel quite as sharp. Just seeing if there's a small tweak to the body that maybe you can do. You can always reset, so sort of stretching up and settling back in to your posture. And a reminder that you can always continue working with your home base. You feel like you've gotten into a groove. I don't want to derail you, but this is an opportunity for you to drop the technique if you want and do nothing. So we're letting go of any intention to control our attention, and we're just sitting. Our time is ended. I'll ring the bell, signal that it is complete. Thank you for your practice. May any merit that was generated in our time together go to benefit all beings. And yeah, if you have any questions or reports or comments, you can always put those in chat. Thank you to the folks that have sat with us in the future with our recording. You're very, very welcome, Bill. And Emma and Brooke as well. Welcome. Excellent to hear, Moira. And you're welcome, Colette and Suzanne, Paul, Ruth, Mao. Thank you again. Thank you to you. Oh, hello, Brian Sweeney. I didn't get a chance to say hello. And Catherine, I don't know that I acknowledged that you were here. You can always like the video too. I often forget to say something about that. That's super beneficial. And I'm going to continue to do the email updates, but I'm going to start playing around with posting some things on Substack. So a variation that we guided tonight. I have like a draft recording that I'm trying to make a video out of it, and so I'm playing around with trying to do some standalone videos in addition to the live streams. So that's an experiment, and so some of those things I'm probably going to post about or give some context to those videos on Substack. So playing around with that. I am by no means a writer, but I think there's a way for me to sort of minimally put a little bit of framing around that stuff and put it on a Substack. And then just highlighting that a lot of people will reply to the reminder emails and share a few things here and there, and they often share really nice personal things too. So and people have commented on how much they like that being an open channel. So I want to try to keep that open. I think there's a limit eventually where my Gmail account won't let me send out, to hundreds of people. But until we get to that hundreds of people place. So Emma, you didn't miss that I started a Substack. I haven't announced it properly. So I'm on Substack, and I have been doing some things to like watch out for the MindBot Adventure Pod and for Jeff's home base, but I hadn't started to do that, and that's an excellent offer too. Thank you, Ruth. Yes, a soft launch or a soft opening, but I think I had posted a few notes and comments, and whatever I did to create or to start or whatever I did recently, I have people starting to follow my Substack, and so yeah. So just a little bit here and there. We'll see what happens, right? Sometimes people announce they're going to do a podcast, and then you get like 3 episodes, and then it's done. So at least with the Substack, there'll be hopefully a post on why there aren't posts. So, and then eventually I've got to do something with my my coaching website. And so I've been playing around with whether or not that would be better off, instead of it being a coaching website, if it'd be better off being a Substack. So I don't have answers super yet, but I'm getting a little bit better at making my own videos. That's a skill that originally brought me to editing video was originally what brought me to the Do Nothing Project, or being a coach who could edit video. So I'm not great, but I'm also not super skilled yet. So I'm playing around with some of those things. As I mentioned yesterday in the sort of check-in, you'll see you may, if you're a subscriber to the channel, you're going to see me posting videos, but I'll be keeping the live stream basically the same format. So so I won't be talking your ear off about Star Wars on the live streams. And then I think that's maybe all the things that I have. Getting dangerously close to the top of the hour. Jeff is here this Sunday, but the 7th, Jude Starr will be filling in as a guest host, and then I may or may not be near internet on Sunday the 7th. So I don't know yet when we're getting back. We have got a mini sort of 4th of July weekend put together, and then Monday is Canada Day. So, happy Canada Day if I don't get a chance to wish you a happy Canada Day on Sunday. I believe it's the 1st. And then, of course, 4th of July is on Thursday, I think. So, yeah. Oh, the car show was great. If you go to... I showed some amount of restraint, but if you go to Instagram under @Leonards, Lenards, I had a bunch of pictures up there. So both my brother's cars made it. My brother's got a 53 Buick and a 63 Pontiac Bonneville, and they both made it. And it rained on and off, but it kept the temperature low, which was really, really nice. And then for those that don't know, the event, the car show, is called Back to the 50s. The first year of it was in 1974, which made this the 50th Back to the 50s. And it's held on the Minnesota State Fairgrounds, which is carved out of a neighborhood in the St. Paul area. So it's actually laid out like a normal sort of neighborhood, with some areas like cordoned off, and there's a grandstand and things like that. Things that you would expect from a state fair, but the Minnesota Fair goes like the state fair goes like all out. And the food is also super bizarre sometimes, or I shouldn't say bizarre. Everything is or a lot of things are on a stick. Like you can get like a pork chop on a stick, and like of course corn dogs and things like that. So, oh yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed the pictures, Fred. Yeah, I had less pictures this year, I think, than I did last year. So I wish I could kind of pull together them year by year. But yeah, thanks for asking, Paul. So, and then I'll be away at least 1 week in July for work. So I'm going to figure out some of the logistics around that. But that's far away. So, and then I think I mentioned this, but I'll be at Jeff's Omega. I can't remember the name of it, but Jeff's August Omega I'll be at. So still figuring out travel logistics. I think there's one or two of you that had mentioned that you'll be there. So, being human takes practice. Yes, the Omega retreat. Thank you very much, Emma. So that's things that are happening in a nutshell. Excellent. Okay, well then I will get to meet you in person. That'll be pretty cool. All right. Have an excellent rest of your week, and thank you for being here. And hello to all the folks in recording land. Bye now.